The Mafia boss's silent daughter spoke 7 words on my first night in his mansion. She waited until her father left the room, gripped my sleeve and whispered, "The woman in white killed my mommy. My name is Clara Dawson. I was a plus-size childcare worker with a degree nobody respected and 3 years of experience calming children adults called difficult." 8-year-old Lily Moretti had not spoken since her mother died in a car accident 11 months earlier. Doctors called it traumatic mutism. Her father, Sebastian Moretti, hired 6 nannies before me. None lasted a week. One said Lily was possessed. Another said she needed discipline. The 6th left after finding a dead bird beneath her pillow. "Did you put it there?" I asked Lily during my interview. She stared at me, then shook her head. Sebastian watched from the doorway. He was 39, widowed, and feared across Boston as the head of the Moretti family. He wore grief like armor and authority like an old scar. "Why do you want this job?" he asked. "Because your daughter is communicating, and everyone keeps punishing her for not using speech." The bird was communication, it was a threat. The question is whether she sent it or received it. That answer got me hired. The household staff did not approve. Mrs. Vale, the elegant manager in white uniforms, looked over my body and asked whether I could keep up with an active child. "Can you?" I replied. Sebastian's sister Isabella laughed. Mrs. Vale did not. Lily tested me from the first hour. She poured paint into my shoes, hid my phone, and locked herself in the music room. I did not shout. I brought 2 sandwiches, sat outside the door, and described every bite until hunger opened it. "You do not have to talk," I told her. "But you do have to eat." She chose the larger sandwich and handed me the smaller. At bedtime, she drew a black car, a bridge, and a woman in a white dress. When Sebastian entered, Lily tore the picture. He believed she hated seeing her mother's face. I believed she feared the woman in white. After he left, she whispered those 7 words. I did not ask 10 questions. Children who break silence after trauma need safety more than interrogation. "Do you believe the woman is in this house?" I asked. Lily nodded. "Are you afraid she will hurt your father?" Another nod. "Then we will find a way to tell him that keeps you safe." She pointed at the wall camera. Someone was watching. The next morning, Mrs. Vale accused me of stealing Lily's diamond bracelet. Security found it in my suitcase. Sebastian's chief guard, Thomas Reed, demanded I leave. Lily began shaking. I noticed the bracelet clasp was open, but Lily could not operate it because of an injured thumb. "Someone placed it there." "Check the hallway camera," I said. Thomas claimed the recording failed. "Then check the laundry elevator. Its mirrored door reflects my room." The reflection showed Mrs. Vale entering with my suitcase open. Sebastian dismissed the theft accusation but did not remove her. She had served his family for 20 years. "Loyalty is not the absence of evidence," I told him. "Neither is suspicion proof. Then protect your daughter while we find it." He assigned an independent camera system only I and he could access. That afternoon, Lily spoke through drawings. The woman in white wore a pearl necklace and carried a silver lighter. Mrs. Vale wore pearls but did not smoke. Sebastian's fiancée, Adriana Cross, wore white at every charity event and carried a silver lighter despite claiming she quit. Sebastian planned to marry Adriana in 6 weeks because the alliance would stabilize his family after his wife's death. Lily refused to enter any room with her. Adults called it jealousy. I called it survival. Adriana arrived for dinner and kissed Sebastian before kneeling beside Lily. "Soon I will be your new mother." Lily hid behind my body. Adriana smiled at me. "The agency sent someone substantial." "The child requested structural support," I said. Sebastian looked away to hide amusement. During dinner, Adriana added almond syrup to Lily's dessert. Lily had a documented nut allergy. I stopped the spoon. Adriana claimed she forgot. Mrs. Vale said the allergy was mild. "Anaphylaxis does not care about family hierarchy," I replied. Sebastian ordered every meal independently checked. Adriana accused me of trying to divide them. "She has been here 2 days," she said. "You trust her over your future wife." Sebastian looked at Lily's hand, gripping mine. "I trust what my daughter's body is saying." That night, someone disabled the new cameras and entered Lily's room. I woke when she climbed into my bed. A silver lighter lay on her pillow beside a note. "Silent children live longer." I photographed it, sealed it in a food bag, and called Sebastian. He entered carrying a gun in fury. Thomas searched the estate. Adriana claimed her lighter had been stolen. Its surface had been wiped clean. Lily crawled beneath my blanket and would not look at her father. She needs to tell me, Sebastian said. No. You need to make it possible for her to tell you. We created a communication board with names, places, and yes or no cards. Lily selected Adriana, car, mommy, and bridge. Then she chose Mrs. Vale, watch and lie. Sebastian went pale. His wife Elena died when her car crossed a bridge barrier. Adriana was supposedly at a gala. Mrs. Vale verified her arrival time. Lily had been in the back seat and was found wandering near the road. She had not been asleep as the report claimed. Sebastian ordered the old accident evidence reopened. Thomas discovered the car's brake line was cut. Traffic cameras showed a white vehicle following Elena. The license plate belonged to the Moretti Foundation and was assigned to Adriana. Mrs. Vale had altered the vehicle log. Before investigators could arrest them, Lily disappeared. Her window was open and my access card lay on the floor. Thomas accused me. Sebastian did not. Clara would not leave the card, he said. She would know it identifies her. The kidnapper wanted the easiest suspect, the new plus-size nanny with no family connection and a planted theft accusation. I examined Lily's room. Her shoes remained. She hated walking barefoot outdoors. A piece of blue chalk marked the baseboard. We used that color during hiding games. Another mark appeared near the laundry passage, then the old chapel corridor. Lily was not carried outside. She left a trail inside the house. The passage ended at the underground garage. Security footage showed my car leaving, but the driver's seat sat too far forward for me. Mrs. Vale was shorter. We traced the car to the abandoned Moretti summer house near the bridge where Elena died. Sebastian wanted to storm it. I stopped him. Lily believes armed adults make people disappear. If shooting starts, she may hide from everyone. I entered alone, carrying the communication board. Mrs. Vale waited inside with Lily and a gun. Adriana stood near the fireplace, burning documents. You should have taken the bracelet and left, Adriana said. You should have remembered the allergy. She laughed. Elena discovered Adriana and Mrs. Vale stealing foundation funds. Adriana cut the brake line, expecting Elena to drive alone. Lily secretly entered the back seat. After the crash, Mrs. Vale found her and threatened to kill Sebastian if she spoke. The dead bird, stolen bracelet and lighter were warnings whenever Lily seemed close to communicating. She is only a child, Mrs. Vale said. Children forget. Lily looked at me. I held up the board. Her eyes moved to the red card, meaning danger behind you. I dropped as Adriana swung the fireplace poker. It struck Mrs. Vale's arm. The gun fired into the ceiling. Lily ran toward a narrow pantry and locked herself inside. Sebastian's men surrounded the house but waited because I had asked. Adriana grabbed me by the hair and called me a fat servant who mistook kindness for power. I drove my shoulder into her chest. We fell across the table. Mrs. Vale reached for the gun. Lily's voice came from the pantry loud and clear. Daddy, now Sebastian entered through the rear door and kicked the weapon away. Thomas restrained Adriana. Mrs. Vale stopped fighting when Lily emerged and pointed directly at her. You lied about Mommy, the child said. Sebastian dropped to his knees. He did not demand more words. He opened his arms and waited until Lily chose to enter them. Adriana and Mrs. Vale were convicted of murder, kidnapping, fraud, and attempted poisoning. Lily's testimony occurred through recorded sessions with a child specialist, not in front of the family council. Sebastian canceled the political marriage and released the foundation's finances for audit. He also removed cameras from children's bedrooms and converted the mansion's old security wing into a therapy center for families affected by violence. Lily did not become talkative overnight. Some days she spoke. Some days she used drawings. Sebastian learned not to measure recovery by how comfortable her communication made adults. I remained her nanny for 1 year, then became director of the center after completing trauma care certification. My relationship with Sebastian did not begin while I depended on him for employment. I insisted on that boundary. He respected it, though he visited the center suspiciously often. Lily noticed before we admitted anything. She drew 3 people holding hands beneath a large umbrella. Who is the round one? Sebastian asked. I stared at him. You, Lily said. I laughed so hard I cried. He did too. At the center's opening, a reporter asked why the most feared man in Boston trusted a nanny to redesign his family foundation. Sebastian answered, because she heard my daughter before my daughter spoke. Months later, he asked me to dinner. Lily made him use the communication board. He selected Clara dinner choice, no pressure. I selected yes. Everyone had expected the plus-size nanny to fail because she did not match their picture of elegance, authority, or maternal perfection. But Lily never needed a perfect woman. She needed an adult whose body felt safe to hide behind, whose pride did not require immediate answers, and whose love did not treat silence as disobedience. The first words Lily whispered changed everything, because they exposed a murderer. The words she spoke later changed more. They taught an entire powerful family that listening begins long before a child is ready to use her voice. For 3 years after the therapy center opened, Lily's world grew larger by choices rather than demands. She attended school in the mornings, spent afternoons drawing in my office, and used speech when it felt safe. Sebastian and I married in a small garden ceremony where Lily carried no flowers because she hated being watched while walking. Instead, she waited beside us and held the rings in a red box. Reporters called her miraculously cured. I corrected every headline I could. Silence was never the illness. Terror was. Then, on the morning of her 10th birthday, Lily entered my office, locked the door, and whispered, "The dead woman is back." I did not ask her to repeat it. I moved away from the door, lowered myself to her eye level, and placed the communication board between us. She selected woman camera mother basement last night. The mansion's security system showed no intruder. Every door remained sealed. Sebastian searched the basement with guards and found only Elena's stored belongings, dresses, photographs, foundation files, and the red suitcase recovered after her death. Lily led us to an old television used for home movies. At 2:04 that morning, it had turned on by itself. A woman wearing Elena's face appeared on the screen and said, "Little bird, you told the wrong story. Clara will disappear next." The video lasted 11 seconds, then erased itself. Lily had recorded the reflection on her drawing tablet. Sebastian watched once and ordered every electronic device removed from the house. I stopped him. If we make her home empty because someone entered through a screen, the screen wins. Someone threatened my wife in my daughter's bedroom. Then give Lily control. Ask what she wants removed. Lily selected cameras out, tablet stays, daddy no guns in hall. Sebastian dismissed half the guards from the corridor and placed his weapon in a locked room. It cost him more courage than drawing it would have. The face in the video was a digital construction made from Elena's photographs, but the voice contained natural breaths. Someone had either trained an imitation perfectly or used a recording we did not possess. The phrase "little bird" mattered. Elena spoke it only in private. Lily remembered hearing her mother say it to a woman on the phone during the week before the crash. Foundation call logs identified one repeated number registered to Dr. Miriam Cole, the child specialist who evaluated Lily after Elena's death. Cole had declared her silence manipulative and recommended isolation from household staff. Mrs. Vale later hired her as a consultant. Cole disappeared when Adriana was arrested, but no one charged her because the records showed professional incompetence, not conspiracy. The center's new intake list showed a child named Noah Cole scheduled for assessment that afternoon. His guardian was listed as Miriam. Sebastian canceled the appointment. I reinstated it with police nearby. If she wants access, refusing only sends her somewhere we cannot see. At 2, a thin 13-year-old boy arrived alone. He carried no phone and wore a medical alert bracelet engraved with my name. Inside the bracelet was a memory card. Noah said his mother told him to deliver it to the round nanny who hears lies. He looked ashamed after repeating the description. "Your mother could use lessons in professional titles," I said. "She could use prison," he answered. The card held treatment videos of 6 children from powerful families. In every session, Dr. Cole pressured a frightened child to invent an accusation against a parent. She rewarded specific answers with food, threatened separation for hesitation, and edited the recordings to remove her prompts. Mrs. Vale had used those fabricated disclosures to control judges, custody decisions, and family alliances. Elena discovered the operation through the foundation. Dana, one of the children in the archive, was now an adult judge whose sealed testimony had helped Mrs. Vale gain legal access to Lily after the crash. Cole was not merely an accomplice. She had built a market in children's fear. Noah said his mother had continued working for someone called the custodian. For years, she moved between safe houses and created psychological profiles of Mafia heirs. 2 weeks earlier, she saw Lily's name on a new assignment and decided to run. The custodian took her before she could reach police. "Why threaten Lily if your mother wants help?" Sebastian asked. Noah stared at the floor. She didn't send the video. A message appeared on the center's public display screen. It showed Miriam Cole tied to a chair beside a clock counting down from 6 hours. A distorted voice instructed us to destroy the memory card and transfer the center's child records to a private server. If we refused, Cole would die, and selected videos of Lily would be released. Sebastian saw only the kidnapping. I saw the demand. The custodian wanted access to children whose families used our center. Their fears, routines, medical histories, and drawings could become tools of control. I shut the network down. Staff moved paper files into fireproof rooms. Parents arrived in panic. Some blamed me for collecting records that could be stolen. They were not wrong to question the system. We had protected data from ordinary hackers, not from an enemy with access to security companies, judges, and former Foundation staff. I promised a public review whether or not we survived the night. Sebastian offered the custodian himself in exchange for Cole. The answer came through every phone in the lobby: the nanny decides. The enemy understood that Sebastian's power was predictable. Mine depended on consent. If I surrendered on records, I would betray children to save one adult. If I refused, they would broadcast Cole's death and tell Lily my principals killed a woman. It was designed to make listening look like weakness. Lily touched my hand and selected no trade. Noah flinched. "That is my mother." Lily selected mother hurt me still, no kill. She was not asking for revenge. She was refusing the false choice. "There is a third option," I said. "We find her." The video background showed a green wall, one window, and the edge of a painted carousel horse. Sebastian's men identified 7 abandoned amusement parks. Noah listened to the audio and recognized a freight horn that sounded twice with an unusual descending note. Only one park stood near the eastern rail yard. Sebastian prepared a rescue team. I insisted Noah remain at the center. He refused. His mother had trained him to memorize exits, count footsteps, and identify chemicals by smell. He knew how she selected hiding places. "She made me useful so I would never notice she didn't make me safe," he said. I understood too well. We allowed him to accompany us only to a mobile command vehicle outside the park. Lily stayed with Thomas and a child advocate controlling whether she received updates. Before I left, she whispered, "Bring the truth back, not just the woman." The abandoned park glittered with emergency lights someone had restored. Music played from the carousel, though the horses did not move. A sign at the entrance read, "Welcome, Clara." Sebastian wanted me behind the tactical line. The next door opened only after a camera scanned my face and body. The custodian had designed the route for me. I wore a protective vest beneath my loose blue sweater and entered while police watched through a transmitter hidden in my shoe. Mirrors lined the first corridor. Speakers played recordings of insults from my years as a nanny. Too slow, too soft, too large, too ordinary for a powerful household. Then the voices changed to parents from the center accusing me of endangering their children. The attack was psychological, almost childish, but effective, because every insult contained a fear I had carried. At the corridor's end stood a scale. A screen instructed me to step onto it to unlock the next door. I unplugged the scale and used its metal base to break the lock. "My weight is not your password," I told the camera. Sebastian laughed once in my earpiece. Then the signal vanished. The next room contained 6 screens, showing live images of children sleeping in different homes. Red targets hovered over their beds. A woman's voice said the center's records had already been copied and these children would die unless I gave the encryption phrase. I examined the screens. One child's curtains moved, but the clock beside him did not advance. Another slept beneath a summer blanket, though snow covered the window. They were recorded loops. "You studied fear but forgot caregivers study details," I said. The screens went black. Miriam Cole appeared behind a glass wall, wrists bound. She looked older than her professional photograph. Her hair cut unevenly, one eye swollen. "Do not save me," she said. "He wants you close." The custodian stepped from the shadows wearing the uniform of the center's former security chief, Owen Rusk. I had fired Rusk 6 months earlier after he installed hidden microphones in therapy rooms and claimed they were necessary for quality assurance. His background check had been perfect because Judge Dana Cole, one of Miriam's former patients, sealed the records connecting him to Mrs. Vale. Rusk was not a mafia boss. He was more dangerous in a quieter way, a man who built systems powerful people used without wanting to know how they worked. He provided Mrs. Vale with cameras, edited Cole's sessions, staged warnings for Lily, and kept copies of every secret. When Adriana fell, he sold the archive to rival families. The therapy center threatened his business by teaching children the difference between a memory and a suggested answer. "You make them difficult to manage," he said. "That is the purpose of care," I answered. He ordered me to open the center database from a terminal. Miriam begged me not to. Rusk placed a gun against her neck. Police could not see us behind reinforced walls. Sebastian would breach the building if he heard a shot, but explosives beneath the carousel would collapse the room. I sat at the terminal. The login presented 4 picture symbols created for children who did not use written passwords: umbrella, bird, door hand. Rusk had copied our interface but misunderstood its hidden protection. The system did not open when the correct pictures were selected. It opened only when the child selected them in a personal rhythm recorded during consent. Adults could know the symbols and still fail. He demanded Lily's rhythm. "I do not know it. You designed the system." "Exactly. No caregiver should possess a child's private key." Rusk did not believe me. He struck Miriam, then played the video of Elena's face. The natural voice belonged to Miriam. Years earlier, Mrs. Vale forced her to imitate Elena during phone calls that convinced Lily her mother was alive after the crash. Rusk kept those recordings. Miriam had sent the memory card because she learned he planned to use them again. "Tell him," she said. "I trained Lily to distrust her own memories." I told Mrs. Vale which phrases caused panic. I watched a child disappear into silence and called it compliance. Noah's voice suddenly came through the park speakers. He had left the command vehicle. Using the service routes his mother taught him, he reached the audio booth and connected his phone to the public system. "And you did it to me," he said. Miriam closed her eyes. Rusk aimed toward the ceiling, trying to locate the booth. That gave me time to select the wrong picture sequence 3 times. The terminal entered child protection mode and mirrored its contents to the state evidence server. Rusk saw the transfer and fired at the screen. The bullet struck the terminal. Sprinklers activated. The carousel music stopped. Sebastian breached the outer wall, but Rusk pulled a trigger device from his coat. Miriam kicked the base of the glass partition, knocking him sideways. I threw my body against his arm. We hit the wet floor. The trigger slid beneath a cabinet. Rusk grabbed my vest and called me a fat babysitter who had wandered into a war. "No," I said, driving my elbow into his wrist. "You wandered into a nursery and mistook patience for surrender." Sebastian reached us and disarmed him, but the trigger had activated a 30-second countdown. The explosives could not be defused in time. Noah appeared at the service door and pointed beneath the carousel. "The wires are fake," he said. He had smelled fresh paint but no explosive compound. Rusk had built another false choice. The actual danger was the freight train approaching the rail crossing behind the park. A van sat locked on the tracks with 6 sedated children inside, the same children shown on the screens. The loops hid a live abduction. Sebastian's team raced outside. The crossing gate had been disabled. The train horn sounded twice. 20 seconds. The van's armored doors would not open. I remembered the center's medical alert bracelets. Each contained a near-field emergency release that unlocked transport restraints during a fire. Rusk had copied our records and used our authorized child transport van. I held Noah's bracelet against the driver's door. The system recognized the center credential and unlocked every restraint. Guards carried the children clear as the train destroyed the van. Rusk watched from the ground while his perfect archive scattered in burning pieces. No one died. That mattered more than catching him, but we did both. The state charged Rusk with kidnapping, extortion, attempted murder, unlawful surveillance, and conspiracy. His archive exposed custody manipulation across 20 years. Judges reopened dozens of cases. Miriam Cole pleaded guilty. She did not ask Noah or Lily to forgive her. At sentencing, she described every technique she used and surrendered her professional record so other children could challenge false findings. Noah chose to live with his aunt and receive care from a therapist he selected. When reporters called him brave, he said, "I was trained to survive adults. I would rather learn to be 13. Lily listened to Miriam's confession in private. She asked one question through the board: "Did Mommy know I told truth?" Miriam answered yes. Elena had believed Lily from the beginning. She died trying to collect proof. Lily did not speak for 4 days after hearing that. Sebastian panicked on the first day, worried on the second, and by the third sat quietly beside her drawing table without asking for a word. On the fourth day, Lily said, "Thank you for waiting." He went into the hallway before crying because he did not want his relief to become another demand she had to manage. The center closed for 2 months, while independent experts rebuilt its security. We reduced stored data, gave families control over deletion, and created paper alternatives for children who wanted no digital record. Every camera required visible consent. Every therapist's notes could be challenged with a child advocate present. Parents complained the process was inconvenient. I told them safety often feels inconvenient to adults accustomed to automatic access. Sebastian transferred the mansion and foundation into a trust Lily could not inherit until adulthood and could refuse entirely. "You are giving away your dynasty," one uncle said. "I am giving my daughter the right not to become it," he answered. He also dissolved the private intelligence unit Rusk had infiltrated. Families predicted his enemies would multiply. Instead, several employees testified against old operations because they no longer feared disappearing into secret files. Power became smaller, slower, and less theatrical. Our home became safer. On Lily's 11th birthday, she invited 6 friends, banned reporters, and selected chocolate cake, without asking whether anyone thought it elegant. Noah attended and spent most of the party teaching Thomas a video game. When Sebastian asked Lily to make a birthday speech, she raised one eyebrow. He apologized and offered her the board. She selected cake, now speeches never. I framed that sentence. Years later, Lily chose to study documentary filmmaking. She recorded survivors who had been spoken for by courts, doctors, and families. She never showed a face without permission, and sometimes released films containing only hands, rooms, and voices altered by choice. Her first documentary was called Before the Whisper. It argued that adults often celebrate the moment a silent child speaks, while ignoring all the moments the child communicated through movement refusal, illness drawing, and fear. The film won an award. At the ceremony, a journalist asked whether her nanny had given her a voice. Lily looked at me then, answered, "Clara gave me time. My voice was already mine." I cried harder than Sebastian, though he disputed this. Noah became a security designer who built technology that collected less information instead of more. His company's first contract was with our center. On the wall of his office, he kept the medical bracelet engraved with my name. Beneath it, he wrote, "A key should open an exit, not a child." Miriam remained in prison and sent 1 letter each year. Noah chose not to read them. Lily read one, then asked that the rest be stored until she decided otherwise. Forgiveness was never included in anyone's treatment plan. At home, Sebastian still used the communication board when an argument became too large for easy words. Once after he scheduled guards for a family vacation without asking, I selected husband, anxious, controlling, try again. He selected wife, correct, annoying, loved. Lily, passing through the kitchen, added father, slow learner. The board had begun as a bridge for a terrified child. It became a family language because no one person's preferred method deserved to rule every conversation. On the center's 10th anniversary, we placed no statue of Sebastian and no portrait of me in the lobby. We installed a low round table with boards, pencils, clay, headphones, blank cards, and a single sentence at child height. "You do not have to speak to be heard." Parents often knelt to read it. Some cried. Some grew uncomfortable. Both reactions were useful. The plus-size nanny never changed everything because she possessed magical kindness or because her soft body made her born to mother children. I had training, boundaries, anger, mistakes, and the courage to revise a system I helped build. Lily changed everything because she told the truth in the form she could manage, and because once in her life, adults stopped demanding a performance before believing her. The first whisper exposed a murderer, the next saved 6 children, but the most important words were not whispered at all. They were drawn, selected, refused, paused, and protected, until the child who owned them decided the room was finally safe enough to listen. When Sebastian and I retired from the foundation board, Lily chaired the meeting that accepted our resignations. She thanked us, rejected the enormous farewell banquet her father planned, and ordered pizza for the staff. Before we left, she handed me the original red danger card from her childhood communication board. On the back, she had written, "You saw danger behind me, but you never made me live facing backward." I kept it beside our wedding photograph. Sebastian kept the card she made for him, "Daddy ask first." He claimed mine was more poetic. I told him hers was more necessary. We spent our later years visiting the center only when invited. That boundary was the final proof that it no longer belonged to us. New counselors changed programs I had designed, children invented, symbols I did not understand, and families solved problems without knowing our names. I loved that. Real care should make its caretaker less essential over time. One afternoon, a newly hired nanny recognized me in the lobby and asked for the secret to making a silent child trust her. "There is no secret," I said. "Do not make trust the price of safety. Give safety first, then accept whatever the child chooses to give back." A little boy nearby heard me and slid a blue crayon across the table. I accepted it without asking what it meant. Across the room, Sebastian waited without guards, weapons, or instructions. I drew an umbrella. He added 3 figures beneath it, one rounder than the others. We laughed softly, careful not to interrupt the children who were communicating in 100 ways the old world had failed to hear.